Hill has called Caitlin Clark a racist after new footage surfaced of the Ryan Howard.
Jemele Hill recently made a significant intervention. After that furious discussion with Ryan Howard, she accused Caitlin Clark of racism. However, fresh video has since surfaced that entirely refutes her claims. She is desperately trying to maintain her dignity while the internet is ridiculing her for this opinion. It's amazing to watch this backfire. The comment backfired. If you believe that Jemele Hill's racial charge totally embarrassed her.
To season 2 of Caitlin Clark and the Fever, and now we have a new Jemele Hill rant. She is one person that's been pretty vocal about everything. The Angel Reese situation, now this Ryan Howard thing, which I thought was not a big deal whatsoever. Reported on it yesterday. She did kind of get into Caitlin Clark's head, kind of psyched her out. I believe that's why Caitlin Clark played so bad. But some new footage has emerged of the incident.
Okay, people. Jemele Hill has officially jumped the shark with this one, so we need to discuss what just happened. She somehow turned a competitive basketball exchange between Ryan Howard and Caitlin Clark into a racist story that is exploding up in her face more quickly than a cheap firework.
Jemele Hill got busted, Steve. She got exposed once again. It looks like in September, Jemele sent a lengthy tweet saying Caitlin Clark doesn't get the same hate.
Here, context is important, so allow me to establish the situation. We're discussing a WNBA regular season game in which two players got a bit heated. Ryan Howard was trying to get into Caitlin Clark's head, shouting trash, and playing rough defense. You know, standard basketball events that occur in every game, regardless of level.
You're in Atlanta, all in her face, bro. Like, Atlanta's supposed to be the place where they just target Caitlin Clark. She was doing nothing, bro. She was dribbling. She's pressing her, hacking her the whole way. They hacked Caitlin the whole damn thing, bro. So Jemele Hill has a knack for...
Now in her second season as a professional, Clark has learned how to deal with these circumstances. Clark's reaction to Howard getting in her face was straightforward. "You don't frighten me. That's all." Jemele Hill perceived the entire interaction as racist in some way. Let's first accept what actually transpired before delving into Hill's embarrassing perspective. This was the best kind of competitive basketball. Clark was not amused by Howard's attempt to scare him. She continued to play basketball, stood her ground, and made it apparent that she would not be bullied. This is precisely what you would expect from a professional athlete.
Caitlin Clark taking it back, and you can see the hold there. Then Ryan Howard doesn't like that. And there's some words between...
However, Jemele Hill moved straight to the race card after witnessing this discussion. According to her perverted reasoning, Caitlin Clark is racist because she confidently responds to trash talk. If ignorance were a sport, the mental acrobatics needed to arrive at that conclusion would earn gold at the Olympics. In stunning 4K quality, the newly released footage totally ruins Hill's story. You can see exactly what happened. Howard was the aggressor. He tried to intimidate, got physical, and talked trash. Clark just confidently replied and carried on with his basketball game. Unless you're purposefully seeking controversy where none exists, there is absolutely nothing in that video that could be interpreted as racist.
Jemele Hill called racism against Caitlin Clark. Competitive claims hatred is all made up. How is hatred all made up when you got fans yelling, "You're in Atlanta," all in her face, bro? Like, Atlanta's supposed to be the place where they just target Caitlin Clark. She was doing nothing, bro. She was dribbling. She's pressing her, hacking her the whole way.
This is what makes Hill's actions even more absurd. Since joining the league, Caitlin Clark has experienced a pattern of targeted behavior, which she is ignoring. This is not a singular occurrence. Clark has frequently had to deal with players attempting to rough her up, intimidate her physically, and get inside her head. Howard's actions were only the most recent illustration of this alarming pattern.
Clark, by the way, absolutely silenced everybody yesterday. The woke media was all on her. I hate to even mention this complete jackass, Jemele Hill, and others were all in her business. It's white privilege. She hits these threes. Man, I don't give a damn if it's white, black, or green privilege. Jemele Hill, she blames the media for covering Caitlin Clark. She's tremendous on television. What a missed opportunity for the national media to really evaluate who she was as a person. Why? Whereas it feels like our black athletes get the same amount of coverage.
Hill's position is incredibly ironic. She is attacking the player who just refused to be intimidated while protecting a player who is obviously the initiator. In what universe do you become the villain when you defend yourself against bullying? Only in Jemele Hill's perverted perspective. Even more pitiful is Hill's attempt to portray this as typical competition.
Here's what LeBron James just said. Go ahead and play this clip. This is him with Reddick.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport,
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. More people want to watch.
There you go.
More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA.
Dude, good for you, LeBron.
But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy.
She wrote that it's just basketball and that people should quit pretending as though Clark is being singled out. However, anyone with sight can see that this isn't the case. The degree of physical play and intimidation methods used against Clark is far higher than those of typical competition. It is understandable that there has been a rapid and harsh pushback against Hill's viewpoint. Her absurd portrayal of the events has drawn criticism from basketball enthusiasts of all stripes. Even those who aren't tremendous fans of Caitlin Clark can see that Hill's racism claim is wholly baseless and, to be honest, offensive to real racism victims. Even more disgraceful has been Hill's reaction to the criticism. Rather than owning up to her error or recognizing that her perspective was incorrect, she has strengthened her stance. Now she's criticizing others who don't agree with her, saying they don't get basketball or the bigger picture. The way this whole incident exposes Hill's own prejudices is its most telling feature. She is willing to overlook clear facts in order to uphold her deeply held beliefs about the WNBA and racial relations. Because it doesn't suit Hill's preconceived narrative, Clark confronting a bully turns into racism in her eyes.
These WNBA players is rhetorical. They making it their business, one player on a team, every game she played, to attack her, bro. Who knows who it's going to be tomorrow for the New York Liberty? When I bet you any amount of money, somebody's going to make it their day to make sure Caitlin Clark...
There is some racism in this issue, so let's discuss it. It comes from individuals like Hill who believe that any disagreement between a white player and a black player must be driven by race. That is really racism. Assuming things about people's intentions based only on their color instead of their behavior. In the video, Howard escalated the issue while Clark remained calm and professional. However, Hill's racial perspective keeps her from recognizing the obvious truth. Because of her race, she is certain that Clark must be the antagonist. This trend from Hill is also not new, regardless of what actually transpired on the court. Finding racism in places where it doesn't exist has been the foundation of her entire journalistic career. She is the one who, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, believes that every contact between individuals of various races is motivated by race. This incident has seriously damaged Hill's reputation. You lessen the power of calling out real racism when you accuse someone of racism over something as harmless as a player confronting a bully. Because they are aware that you would label anything as racist if it supports your narrative, people begin to ignore you. The fact that there are actual racial issues in athletics that merit discussion and attention makes this even more annoying. However, it is more difficult to have those honest discussions because of Hill's boy who cried wolf response to accusations of racism. Her credibility has been damaged. However, despite the fact that she may have a point, people disregard her due to offensive remarks like this one. Given all that has been going on in the WNBA lately, the timing of Hill's accusation is especially tone-deaf. She chooses to focus on this entirely harmless discussion as her hill to die on, despite the fact that there have been real instances of dubious behavior and instances of gamers going too far. Throughout the entire incident, Clark has handled the situation in an excellent manner. She refrained from reacting to Hill's charge, avoided engaging in a social media spat, and refrained from making any provocative remarks. She simply kept playing basketball and let her on-court exploits speak for themselves. That's what true experts do. In the meantime, Hill is making herself look silly on social media by making more desperate attempts to defend her first incorrect opinion. She is accusing anyone who points out the glaring weaknesses in her logic of being ignorant of the subtleties of the circumstance. It's astounding how little self-awareness there is. The way that Hill's claim impacts the larger discussion about racism in sports is its most detrimental aspect. People who wish to discount justifiable worries about racial issues are given ammo when someone with her level of influence makes such blatantly incorrect accusations about racism. She is actually harming the cause that she says she supports. There aren't many Hill's defenders on this one, and with good cause. Even those who might typically support her viewpoints can see that she is totally off target in this situation. The claim is too absurd, the context is too evident, and the footage is too clear for anyone with even rudimentary critical thinking abilities to support. Because WNBA fans actually watch the games and are aware of the circumstances, their response has been especially harsh. The pattern of targeted action directed toward Clark is visible to them. They are able to identify the true aggressors and spot when someone is fabricating charges in order to gain attention. The most pitiful aspect of Hill's stance is that she is essentially condemning the person who refused to be bullied while endorsing aggressive behavior. Instead of defending themselves, she is implying that players should just put up with being threatened and bullied. For any athlete, but especially for young women, that is a dreadful message. This episode will cause serious long-term harm to Hill's reputation. When media figures make blatantly false claims against their favorite athletes, sports fans remember them for a long time. With this absurd viewpoint, Hill has severed ties with a significant portion of the basketball community. Observing Hill realize that her claim has totally backfired is the most enjoyable aspect of this entire situation. She made a huge mistake with this one, as evidenced by the ratio of her social media posts, the enormous condemnation from fans and journalists, and the total absence of support for her viewpoint. Hill's credibility on WNBA issues is almost ruined going forward. People will recall this event, in which she accused a player of racism for confronting a bully, whenever she attempts to comment on league matters. Her own poor judgment and urgent craving for attention have permanently weakened her voice. The larger takeaway from this is the peril of raising false alarms about grave charges such as racism. Legitimate worries about racial issues in sports are undermined when media figures like Hill make blatantly inaccurate accusations. By making the accusations seem less serious, she is effectively giving shelter to real racists. The way Hill is using race as a weapon to attack someone who has done nothing wrong is especially troubling. Throughout her career, Clark has been nothing but professional. However, Hill seems at ease discrediting her persona on the basis of this entirely misconstrued basketball discussion. The fact that Hill has strengthened her stance in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary demonstrates how committed she is to upholding her story in spite of the realities. This has nothing to do with pursuing justice or the truth. It's about pursuing a goal even when the facts don't support it. The fact that this whole situation diverts attention from important problems is the most disheartening part of it all. There are real issues in athletics that may benefit from Hill's power and platform, even though she is creating controversy out of thin air. Rather, she is squandering everyone's time with absurd opinions. The claim of racism made by Jemele Hill against Caitlin Clark has utterly backfired. Hill misrepresented the video, which shows Clark merely confronting a bully. The internet is viciously mocking her, and her credibility has been destroyed. When you cry racism over nothing, this is what happens. For more media meltdowns, hit the like button and subscribe.